in September and October, every episode of my YouTube channel is going to feature one of your songs.
I'll wait for the ending of my story. Until then, I am bound to a dark destiny. Broken, crawling on my knees again, ripping, tearing, bloody, driven to the end. I strike to the ending of the road. A world I've never
It's the only time I feel really alive.
That's what David wanted.
Blood, I was to find, was a necessity as well.
A vampire in love with a slayer. It's rather poetic. I am the monster that breathing men would kill. I am Dracula.
Hello.
Huh? I've been playing around with pixel art for the vampire course. I'm making it like into a video game.
I love it.
So this is
I
the
love it.
Slayers Union.
I love it. Well, I am very,
Yeah.
very excited for this. So I have to tell you, this was my idea, and I toiled over this. I was so stressed out about picking top 10. That is a lot. That's a lot of pressure. But I feel pretty good about my choices. And my prediction is that yours are going to be more on the academic side. Mine will be more on the pop side, and we'll have a couple crossovers. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I think you're going to introduce me to a couple things maybe I haven't heard of. But
I don't think so. I
don't
doubt
think
it.
so. I think at the very least our audience will enjoy listening to our top tens. So
I listened to a bunch of your podcasts in preparation, especially for ones that I knew I was going to do.
okay.
So I was like, So I have a bunch of notes about your rating systems and stuff that I don't agree with. So
Oh, I love it.
I'm gonna intersperse with some of that maybe.
I love that. Yeah, I want this to be more your episode than mine, but I'm very excited for us to go back and forth and see what crossovers we might have.
All right. Well, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. All right. I'm going to let you go first because you are the guest. I will not let you know if one of the things you mentioned happens to be also on my list. So we will find out. Okay. Are you ready?
So I'm just going to start with number 10.
Go.
All right. The Strain, the TV show, The Strain. And the reason why is because there's some crazy things that happen in it. The vampires nuke the sky to keep the sun away, which is, come on, I mean, it's genius, right? But I'll be honest with you, I have more it's 10, but I have a lot of gripes. Like the fact that the vampire is transferred through like a worm is really strange to me, and that basically only the master vampires are autonomous. Everybody else is psychically dependent on the master, except for those he allows to have autonomy. But the story of like the hunter, Professor Satrakian, played by David Bradley, who was Filch in the Harry Potter movies.
I was going to say he was the mean janitor in Harry Potter. Yeah.
Yeah, he was also the guy in charge of the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, Walder
Yeah,
Frey.
and it also has the guy who played the Rat Man. I'm blanking on his name, but he was in Abigail, and he was great in Abigail.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now. His character's name was Vasily. Fed or something like that. Yeah.
Keep going. I'm gonna IMDb it.
Yeah. So, but anyway, and Corey Stoll, the main character, Ephraim Goodweather, he is such an arrogant D-bag in everything he's in. Like it's just how he is, and he plays it really well.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
Typecasting.
Yeah. There's a really cool episode at the first season where they do an autopsy on a vampire, and a lot of what comes out of that I found to be fascinating because the vampire basically, the worm changes their physiology. It mutates them, and they basically have this like proboscis thing that comes out, and they don't have their digestive system is completely changed, and they have a cloaca, like you poop and pee from the same place, which totally makes sense in a certain way. I would assume Anne Rice's vampires, if they ever would be so indistinguished as to go to the bathroom, would probably have a cloaca too.
Probably.
But I don't know. There's no fangs though. No fangs.
Yeah, no fangs.
But I don't care about that. They do get burned in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think if there's anything else I have in my notes here. No, I think that's it. They're not sexy at
no,
all.
they're not. They're not sexy at all. So, apologies if he ever watches this, but his name is Kevin Durand.
Yes, right,
And
Kevin Durant. Yeah.
he's such a lovable buffoon, and he both in this and in Abigail. And funny story about The Strain, I've been asked to do it on the podcast several times, but when I go to rewatch it, the first season is so similar to how COVID broke out, like the pandemic, the way they respond, the way that people react,
Yeah.
that I still have sort of a PTSD response to it because I was a nurse in COVID, that I have not been able to sit down and rewatch it because it was so similar to how the pandemic spread. But
Yeah.
I am a fan of the idea of vampirism being viral. I always thought that was an interesting concept. It's kind of like
Sure.
when you see the turn happen because of a tampered blood transfusion. I always thought that was an interesting idea as well. It's not my favorite. You know, I love a classic embrace, but if it was going to be a viral outbreak, I do think this is an interesting way to do it. Guillermo del Toro, I think, has such a good, and he did
Mhm.
Kronos.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
had tapped into vampires before. But yeah, I have not been able to sit down and rewatch it because it is so similar to the way the
Yeah.
pandemic broke out that it like gives me a little bit of like a whew, good choice.
Yeah.
Solid choice. Very
I
good.
have not read the books. I'll say I have not read the books. I've only
Neither
seen the
have I.
show.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
So you may be surprised by my number 10,
all right. Let's
but
hear it.
for number 10, I actually put the novel Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Oh,
So I think if you are a self-respecting vampire fan, you should sit down and read it, even if just once. That being said, I don't think it's the most important thing to know. I just recently reread it, and I was actually surprised by how much doesn't happen in the book.
oh yeah.
Um, it is a kind of a dry read, if I might
Mhm.
say. I was surprised at how much I had remembered that is not canon to the novel, but is actually something I saw or read or has grown off of the novel. So to
Right.
go back and reread it, I did it because I turned in a short story for a compilation based on Mina. And I was like, gosh, I have to go back. And to reread it, I was surprised. Like, not that much happens. I think it's important if you're going to call yourself a vampire fan to have read the novel. But is it the most important? I don't think so. So that may be shocking to hear, but I put it at number 10. I feel okay with
Uh,
that. I feel okay with that.
uh, just as a spoiler, it's not even in my top 10. So,
There you go.
you know,
See, now I don't
it's
feel so bad. I
right.
guess we should have said spoiler alert in the beginning, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
Massive spoiler alert.
Uh, yeah. So, yeah, Dracula,
Yeah.
that's, I think, that's fine. I think its
Yeah.
importance lies more in its legacy
Yes.
um, than
Yeah.
anything because we're honestly, it overshadowed Carmilla way more than it should have. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
a much better one,
I
but
mean, I think if you have the time, sit down and read it, but
yeah.
I would not hold it against you if you haven't. It's fine. So, number
I
10.
do I make my students read it and
Yeah.
they're always surprised like, wait a second, this is just like a collection of newspaper articles and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
there's a whole
great.
lot that really doesn't even
Yeah.
need to be in there. Like
No.
the whole interview with the zookeeper, like I was like, wow, this is kind of a boring book. It really is.
Shame on you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Number
Uh,
9.
well, however, Dracula being the case, um, while I find the 1931 Bela Lugosi Dracula to be kind of boring now, I mean, it's just not exciting in 2025. Um, my dad loves it. I mean, he's 80, but so he saw it as a kid. I mean, not in the theater. He's not that old, but he thinks it's great. And so I said to him recently, Dad, have you seen Renfield? And he was like, oh, that movie was terrible. It didn't make any sense. It was all bloody. I'm like, Dad, it's a direct sequel to that 1931 film, shot for shot. There's shots that are exactly right. So my number
Correct.
9 is Renfield. Number 9.
I am Dracula.
It was I was in stitches watching that. It was so funny. And when but I have I don't know what you want to call it. I'm lucky enough to know what's going on. All right, so I've seen the Dracula movie. I'm very well acquainted with Dracula, and so this makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, if you read the novel Dracula, Renfield wouldn't be in this situation. It would be Jonathan Harker. Um, but but only in the 1931, although actually Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola starts off with a note that, oh, Renfield was there, but he went crazy. They always have to explain Renfield somehow. But anyway, I think it's great. It's over the top, gory, almost like Monty Python gory. Um, there's that whole Lobos where he controls the Lobos gang, and it's just great. It's just a lot of fun, I think.
Hmm.
It's a vampire movie for vampire lovers.
Yes. You know
So
what my number 9 is?
what?
Renfield.
Close the door.
Get out.
Yeah, Renfield. Renfield.
There you
Same
go.
thing. While I think I love the 1931 Dracula, it was my introduction to vampires. I watched it at 6 and immediately fell in love. I think that Bela Lugosi's version of Dracula is why we have sexy vampires today, because he kind of sexed it up for us, and people are like, "Wait, that sells." Um,
Yeah.
I think it was great to see an immigrant hired in a big picture like that. That was pretty cool. But it's not a have to watch. Whereas Renfield, like you said, I thought was a vampire film for vampire fans.
Yeah.
And I had seen shots of Nicolas Cage as Dracula, and I was like, oh, this looks ridiculous. And I thought I was going to hate it. And I walked in just ready. And I was so pleasantly surprised at how fun it was. I felt like Nicolas Cage deserved to be somewhere in my top 10 because he
Uh-huh.
loves a vampire film.
Yeah.
Kiss of the Vampire is a lot of fun, even though, spoiler, he's not a vampire. But such a great movie. Yeah, same thing. Renfield, I thought was a
Wow.
film that you can enjoy even if you don't necessarily love vampires. You could still have fun with it because everybody knows the Dracula lore.
Right.
And the way that they take the rules and then create jokes out of it, like the welcome mat, I really
Right.
enjoyed. Really
Yeah,
enjoyed. Yeah.
there was a lot to like in that. It was clever. It was very clever.
Yes.
I even went and found a bunch of shots from the Bela Lugosi version and compared them with Nicolas Cage, and I mean, it's clear the director knew what he was doing, right? He was copying
Correct.
it.
Correct.
Um,
Well, and to hire
yeah.
William Ragsdale in the beginning from Fright Night fame as one of the vampire hunters, I thought that was fun, kind of a
Oh,
nod to the
right.
rest of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Also, my number 9. There you go.
Wow, that's crazy. Number eight, probably not your number eight. It's The Vampire by John Polidori.
Okay.
Vampyr.
Yes.
Uh, and well, first of all, it's the first fictional vampire in English, so
Yes.
it's important.
Groundbreaking.
But but what I like about this story, and no one's ever been able to really make a movie out of it. I think there's some that are semi kind of made of it, but no real movie has ever been made. And what I think is interesting is we get the first uh, vampire who's not a peasant. He's a lord, Lord Ruthven. Lord Ruthven is also a complete satire of Byron, Lord Byron, and he's Byron must have been a piece of work
Hmm.
because everyone liked to really talk bad about him. But this vampire, he like if you're like a virtuous person, he tries to destroy you, and if you're a person who's like a an addict or a gambler or something, he's gonna help you get deeper in the hole.
Mm.
Um, and he's a vampire not just in sucking of blood, like he's a terrible guy. I think that's interesting. Um, but some of the rules are really weird.
Yeah.
Like he has to drink he has to drink the blood of a young woman once a year and then kill her. He has to kill her, or he has to marry her too. And then uh, if he gets hurt or dies or whatever, if he lays in the light of the first rays of the full moon, then he, I guess, gets healed or something. Um, so there's no fangs that I know of. There's nothing really crazy going on. He's strong,
Yeah.
but he's also we haven't seen the development yet. We don't get fangs until Barney the vampire, really, right? And that's a
Hmm.
little bit later. So we see the seeds of the vampire. But I just think it's a fun book to read. I mean, it's a novel. It's not even a novella. It's a short story, really.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. Good choice. My number
Thanks.
8 is Shadow of the Vampire.
Ah,
Um,
nice.
Spoiler alert, Nosferatu did not make my top 10. the 20s film. I
Oh yeah, the
think
20s one.
I think again, we have vampires dying in the sunlight for the first time, so that's kind of important. But I feel like when you watch Shadow of the Vampire, and again, Willem Dafoe, I think is another one who deserved to be somewhere in this top 10 because that man
Hmm.
loves a vampire film. But by watching Shadow of the Vampire, you kind of get bits of the original movie. You get bits of the whole like marketing scam that they had going about, oh, the actor is really a vampire and that's why he's so good at it. And so you get the original Nosferatu, you get the lore around it that he was
Yeah,
supposedly a real vampire, and you get the death by sunlight, and we get to honor Willem Dafoe, who I think definitely deserves to be in the top 10. So that is my number 8. And I'm actually
nice.
surprised at how many, for something that was nominated for Oscars, a lot of people haven't seen it. I don't know how it missed
Oh,
so many people,
oh.
but I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a niche thing,
It
but I
is.
always liked that movie. It's fun, and Willem Dafoe
Yes.
is real creepy in it, and um,
He's so
does a good
good.
job.
He's
Yeah,
used in so many
nice.
vampire films. So yeah. Yep. That's my number 8.
Well, I can see it.
Oh
My number 7 is True Blood.
Oh my god, I think Marlot's just got his first vampire. I guess you've killed a lot of people.
I killed a few by accident at first. But it's all different now. There's True Blood, where I can glamour someone into letting me feed on them for love.
okay.
Um, I read the whatever they're called, Southern
Sticky
Vampire Stories or whatever.
Stackhouse,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean, I really think the first few seasons, maybe first 3 of True Blood, were were really neat, and um, just the mythology that they were able to build, and um, once it gets a little weird and they start introducing werewolves and fairies and stuff, it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. But the first 3 seasons or so, in my opinion, are great.
Yeah.
There's that one guy who he's like basically a couch potato who's a vampire, and he's like, well, this is what I was, this is what I am.
I know.
Um, and I'm like, yeah, I guess probably makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of neat things about it. So I wanted to make it my top 10 somewhere because I think it's I think it's the best of the 2000s TV vampire shows. Vampire Diaries,
It's fine.
whatever.
I've
And
seen it.
yeah, there's another one I think out there. Oh, the originals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
And Buffy kind of crossed over into the 2000s, but that was more of a 90s
yeah,
show, I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I would
Good
put it in the
choice.
90s. Yeah.
Very good choice. My number 7 is Carmilla.
Oh, nice.
Carmilla. It predates Dracula by like a good quarter of a century. And I think it is a quick read, which is important for some people. Like if you want to be exposed to something that I think is sort of the core of vampire lore as we know it today, it's a good quick read. And it explores sort of the themes of like understanding your sexual identity, and it challenges gender roles at the time. I don't think it got the acclaim it should have. And that's why I wanted to make sure it was above the Dracula novel, because I do think it's more important. And I think we have a lot of the stuff we do today because of Carmilla. And it influenced so many future, including Dracula.
Yep.
So I wanted Carmilla to be in my top 10. It is not for everybody, I will admit, but Carmilla is my number 7.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't have Carmilla on my list,
Okay.
but it's not because I don't want to.
Right.
There's only so many spots, and I gave it to Polidori. But yeah, Carmilla is that. I should have probably put Carmilla myself now that I think about it, because whenever I read that story, I find something new each time,
Yeah.
and I get more and more. Carmilla's weirdness hits me in different ways. Sometimes, like, there's one line she has where she's like languid as she always is, and she says something to Laura like, "One day, you will die into my life," or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, like this is getting dark." And she's keeping Laura. She's like slowly draining Laura while she kills
Yeah.
all the other girls quickly.
Yeah.
She wants her to join her.
Yeah.
You can see it coming, and it's like that's pretty good. It's a long. Oh, and she's just like really good at gaslighting. Carmella's
That's
great at
right.
it.
It's so good. And
Yeah.
she says things that I'm reading, and I'm like, if someone looked me in the eyeballs and said that phrase, I'd be like, I'm out. But would I? I don't know. Would I also fall into
Right, right.
that? So I love
Yeah,
things that make me wonder, would I have fallen for that? Would I have
yeah.
found myself in that situation? I feel like Carmela does that. And like you said, very nonchalant. That's why I liked Only Lovers Left Alive, even though it is
Mm.
long and slow. It
Boring is the
reminds
word I would
you,
use.
yeah, it reminds you that to vampires, time means nothing. So you can take an entire night to stare at a flower because your time is not limited. And what the idea of that. And so I think too, I would also be very languid because I'm not really in a hurry for anything. So Carmilla is my number seven.
Carmela, excellent, awesome. Okay, number 6, uh, one that you've covered before, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Mm.
The movie, not the TV show. The TV show was all right, but the movie was great.
Mhm.
And if you've never seen, like, if someone's never seen this and they didn't know what they were getting into, it it's got to be a hell of a ride because you're like, this is some crazy weird. This guy's a psycho. What's going on? They're kidnapping people, and then wait a second. Did everyone just become vampires? Did this
Yes.
just happen? Like, it's
Yeah.
totally amazing. And of course it's gory, and
Yep.
you've got uh Danny Trejo's in it. You know, who doesn't love Danny Trejo? I mean, the
I
guy
know.
was in his main character comes from Spy Kids, for crying out loud. Machete. You know, it's like, what? Spy Kids spawns off a whole bunch of
Crazy.
crazy sequels. But anyway, yeah, awesome
Crazy.
movie.
Crazy. Very memorable, that movie. And it's funny that you said what you did because the way that my youngest first experienced it was I was sitting down to watch it for the podcast, and they came into the room, sat next to me, maybe about 3 minutes into the movie. And they said, "What are you watching?" And I said, "Oh, it's Dust Till Dawn. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie." And they were like, "Oh, I like Tarantino." So they're watching the whole thing and they're talking and they're discussing. And then it happens. And they turned to me and went, "Is this a vampire movie?" I said, "It sure is."
Oh yeah,
Sure is.
it's
But
a great.
again, if you didn't know, and as I
Yeah.
like to say on the podcast, it's one of those movies that you could watch with somebody who doesn't necessarily like vampire movies, but likes action, likes westerns, likes this, and they would probably enjoy it. So
Yeah.
good
Well,
choice.
I want to add something here because I listened to your uh, review of it, um, and I was thinking to myself, you bring up the you bring up the situation where Harvey Keitel's character Jacob, I think,
Yes.
he like has to find his faith in order to,
Yes.
right, and it brings up this question as to, does faith somehow, is it your faith in the cross that makes the cross a weapon, or is it the cross itself? And I feel like I feel like I want to address this as a man of the cloth, that
Yes.
like I, I would love to see, or I like to see, when vampire films take a stand and either say like everything's supernatural or everything's natural. And if it's supernatural, well then, it's not my faith in the cross. It's actually the God versus the devil or something,
Yes.
that's going on. And so I like, um, I agree with you. I think you critiqued that faith, being
Mm-hmm.
saved by faith
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it comes up all over the place, and it's just not, to me, that's nonsense. Like, if I just believe hard enough, like, nothing happens if you believe
Yes,
hard enough.
it's like
Sorry.
fairies. If you clap
Yeah.
hard enough, Tinkerbell
Right.
will come
Right.
back. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Saved by Faith, nor am I a fan of Saved by Love. So don't think it's a faith thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's lazy writing, and that's what
Yeah.
bothers me about it. We see it in Fright Night, we see it in Salem's Lot, but it worked for me in From Dusk Till Dawn because it was introduced early on that this was a man who was struggling because his wife
Sure.
had been taken from him violently,
Yeah.
and he has to make a very tough decision in a moment to save his children. And I loved that character arc. So for me, it worked
Yeah.
because it was not lazy writing. It was it really worked for me in that character. But like you said,
Yeah.
I don't like it's like when somebody says, "Oh," and then they woke up and it was all a dream.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
lazy writing, and I
Yeah.
don't like that.
Unless it's well, anyway, yeah. So
Yes.
there are some times where it works out, but in terms of that, I will give you that.
Thank you.
But in general, yeah, it is lazy writing.
Yeah. I like to hear your perspective though as a man of the cloth,
Yes.
because it is one of those things where it's like me watching medical stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
And my frustration around medical things. So it's the same thing. Well, thank you for that. Good choice. So we're on number
All
6,
right.
right?
Number 6. Yeah.
I chose, this is actually a trilogy, so it's technically 3 things, but we're going to bundle it. And it
Okay.
is The Diaries of the Family Dracul by Jean Calagrades. And this came out, do you know it?
No.
Okay. This came out in the 90s. It's right here
Mhm.
next to me. Spoiler
Oh,
alert. It is a prequel to Dracula.
okay.
So it is a story of a man who is originally from Transylvania, and he comes home from England, where he has immigrated, with his English wife because his father has passed away. And back in the castle, his great uncle, who is revealed to be Dracula, is like, well, now you have to take over what your father was doing. And it is revealed that there is basically a pact within the family that the oldest male of each generation will basically keep helping Dracula. And we find out in the 3rd book, massive spoiler alert, click out now if you don't want to know, but that he, it is the origin story of Abraham Van Helsing, who
Oh,
who is actually blood related to Dracula. So it is so creative and so
yeah.
vivid and so rich in Transylvanian history. It's one of the reasons that I, in high school, tried to teach myself Romanian, was because of these books.
Oh,
And it
you read
is
them way back then.
back in the 90s when I was in high school.
Yeah. I
So
was reading the Vampire Chronicles back then.
see, there you go. So it is, I think, it is an ode or a really good reminder how this genre gives you so many opportunities for creativity, which is great. Because the one thing about vampires is, even somebody who doesn't know vampires, cursory, they know vampires. They know the basic rules, they know how it works, they know. So you can
Yeah.
throw them in really into anything and they already know the basic rules, even if they, whether they want to or not, everybody knows vampires. So I think that's very profound and I loved what she did with it. So yes, that's my number 6.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sort of unrelated. This is not my number 5, but The Historian is another book that's kind of plays with that. It's a little long. I'd love
Yeah.
to work it in, but it's a little long. But it's really cool that they take that sort of like, um, what's it, historical fiction.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I love
Okay.
about this genre. It's like The Last Voyage of the Demeter. You
Yeah.
just take this teeny tiny couple of pages out of a book and turn it into an entire new movie.
It could have been a sequel to Renfield if they would have called it The Last Voyage of the Vesta.
I know. Spoiler alert, I hated The Last Voyage of the Demeter, but I knew what they were trying to do.
Yeah, right. I get it.
Yeah.
Number 5. John Carpenter's Vampires.
After 600 years, how's that dick working? Pretty good? Huh? Come on.
Good choice.
And I will say that within that is Vampires Los Muertos,
Okay.
which is absolutely terrible.
Yes.
John Bon Jovi does a hell of a job. For those of you at home who don't know who John Bon Jovi is, he's Millie Bobby Brown's father-in-law.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she married his son.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. Good for him
mean,
too. Good for them.
yeah.
They found love. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
John Carpenter's Vampires. Yeah. The idea that it ties back to an original exorcism, I was like, now that's creative. That is
Yeah.
creative. I like it. Nice. Good choice. My number 5, Lost Boys.
Good choice. Over here, bud. Yes, first. You don't like rice? Tell me, Michael, how could a billion Chinese people be wrong? Come on. How are those maggots? Maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots. How do they taste?
Lost
Nice.
Boys. I think that if you are going to be in this world with us, you have to be able to discuss Lost Boys. You have to have seen it. It is so culturally important to this genre. It is, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir on this one, but I
Yeah,
do think it is a great way to keep vampires the villains because they are 100% the villains in this.
sure. Yeah, right.
However, they kind of started this whole like bad boy romance thing, especially for my generation, our generation. It's like the reason we have Spike from Buffy, the reason we have all of these anti-heroes like Eric from True Blood is
Sure. Yeah.
because of David from Lost Boys. So,
Yeah.
very culturally important movie that you have to, if you're going to come hang with us at our table at lunch, you have to have seen The Lost Boys.
Totally. And my number four is Lost Boys. So, um, there you are.
There
And
you
I'll
go.
I'll say that uh, the it is the second best Corey's film. I think License to Drive might be the best one. Sorry, as a Corey film, I
That
know,
is
but
that
as a
is
vampire film,
that's a stand, and I applaud you for making that stand.
right? Thank you. But no, no, Lost Boys is amazing. Um, it's okay. I have one pet peeve with it though, and that's that the vampire. I don't like vampires whose visage changes when they
Okay.
feed. I don't like that. Like it
Mhm.
seems weird to me. Like I guess if you're gonna be, you're not really human anyway. Is it? What's going on? But
Yeah,
anyway,
the
not
shifting.
a big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blackula does that too. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think the shifting, I'm okay with the shifting, because to me it's the idea that they can walk amongst us unnoticed, but in fact they truly are something different, and I always love that idea. So the fact that they can vamp out, which we can thank Buffy for that phrase, I'm okay with the vamp out. It's just if you're going to make that decision as a filmmaker or a TV show creator, you better have a strong makeup department
Hmm.
because it could be cartoony, and that's where you have to be careful. So I'm okay with vamping out as long as you put a lot of money into the makeup budget and you have a
Well, yeah, like from Dusk Till Dawn, they go crazy with it.
great, and it's
Um,
all different, they're all different.
yeah, they're all different. Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, Lost Boys is very actually it's very subdued,
Yeah.
but still. Anyway, yeah.
And
Okay, great. So,
without the makeup department, we wouldn't have had that iconic scene of the tear rolling down Kiefer's face because of the contacts.
oh yeah, right, because it was hurting his eye or something, right?
But that shot of him pulling back with the tear is like chef's kiss. Like, just what an iconic scene. And we have so many jokes from that movie that last to
Yeah,
today. I mean, like I told you, I was just watching it on a drive-in yesterday. So it's
yeah,
40 years later. Still, it was a sold out drive-in show. So to this day, it is still something that and thank you so much for sending me that video. I got to hear all the stuff behind the
yeah.
scenes
Pretty
from the
cool, huh?
writer and just knowing all
Yeah,
that stuff, especially as a writer. I thought that was really cool to know all that
yeah,
stuff. So I'm excited that we've had some crossovers here, you and I.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what's your number four?
My number four is True Blood.
How about that?
My number four is
Okay.
True Blood. And the reason I have it a little bit higher is one, I actually enjoy the idea of bringing different creatures into the vampire world. So I was okay with fairies and what was the Marianne in the second one? She was
Oh, the Maynard or whatever.
A
Yeah,
Maynard and stuff like
and
that.
shapeshifters, werepanthers,
Shapeshifters, where
werewolves,
wild.
you name it.
And
I mean,
I'm a
Joe
big,
Manganiello's in
I
it, and
know.
Pittsburgh's own.
Yes.
I played beer pong with him in college.
Did
He
you?
went to Carnegie Mellon. Yeah, and yeah, he probably doesn't if he's watching. He does like, who's this guy? But we were
If
playing
he's
beer
watching
pong.
my podcast, I can die happy.
Let's
Yeah.
invite him over for some D&D. But yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
so sorry.
But the thing I love the most about True Blood, the show, not the books, no offense to the writer, the
Yeah,
thing that I loved about the show was that they really explored what it is like to be an underrepresented group without calling it out. So
yeah,
there was questions of marriage equality and questions of whether or not they got to own property, and there was like whole churches against them, and there was
right.
hate crimes, and there was, and I thought, man, this is such a clever way to talk about what it's like to be an underrepresented person especially if
Totally.
you don't have the choice, if it's something that you couldn't choose. And they did it in this like fun, sexy vampire way, but it was really important discussions of like, I will never forget Arlene being like, well, I'm sorry, but I think marriage should be between two alive people and not a live and a dead one. And I was like, wow, I see what you're doing here. I see
Right.
exactly what you're
Well,
doing here.
and even in the opening credits, there's the church that has the thing that says God hates fangs.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh wow, hits a little
so
too close to
good.
home.
What
Yeah.
a great way to talk about very heated political discussions
Yeah.
in such a fun, and that opening sequence of that show might be one of the best opening sequences I've ever seen in a show. That was so well done. And I was able to meet what's his name? He plays Russell, the King of Mississippi.
Oh yeah, Russell Edgington. I don't remember who the actor is though.
Anywho, he'd had nothing but wonderful things to say about the cast and the experience, and I just love it. I think True Blood, if you're gonna be in our circle, it's something you need to have at least watched the first 3 seasons. And then if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
fell off, I'm okay with that. But the first 3 seasons, and I'm not happy with the ending, by the way.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
True Blood.
I was looking into True Blood because I haven't watched it in a while, and I was like, there. I thought it ended at this point. I'm like, there's another season. Oh wow, there's another season, and I'm like, oh, I thought that all happened in the one season, but
Yeah,
whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it kind of goes. I don't know if it jumped the shark or not, but definitely
yeah.
goes a little bit off. Uh, Actually, that brings up one of my pet peeves, though. I didn't mention it with there, but and this is one of my pet peeves with your rating system. I
Ooh,
think your ratings, the higher ratings in your system are given to like sexy vampires, um, whereas like the fact that the vampires in True Blood can have sexual intercourse is I think a little bit weird to me,
okay.
um, because there's no biological need for a vampire to have sexual intercourse. They reproduce through other means,
Right.
right? And so I think for vampires, sex is part of the toolkit to get the victim.
Correct.
And I think like there's too much of an emphasis on sex in that particular show. It's like
Sure.
the new version of Interview with the Vampire.
Uh-huh.
I read an interview with the actors, and they were like, "It's great. Like, Anne Rice's vampires finally get to have sex." And I'm thinking to myself, "No, but that's the beauty of Anne Rice's vampires. They don't
Right.
need to,
Right.
you know." Anyway, that's
I
just
think that being said, as an author, and you've read my book, so you got to give the people what they want. And so sex sells. And so if
yeah.
you want to get this out to more people, you got to give the people what
Add
they
some
want.
sex. Anne
Yeah,
Rice sold a lot without any sex in there.
she did. She
Yeah,
did. There, I can't argue
yeah.
with that. That is a very valid point. All right, I like it.
All right.
This is good discussion. I like this. All right,
All
go.
right. Number 3 is the television show What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
Uncloak yourselves. I think someone summoned a breakfast burrito.
Coworkers die. Vampire roommates, they're forever.
Everyone who's anyone who's a vampire is going to be there.
After years of working for you, I have seen werewolves, necromancers, a zombie, and several Babadooks, but that's where we draw the line.
Um, that I was riveted. So I don't have cable. And it was like on, I don't know, Disney Plus got it from Hulu, and I just binged the whole thing like right away because I wanted to watch it so bad, and I hadn't been able to. And there's so many little things in that show that there's. I'll watch an episode and I'll think I should teach this in class because it's all there.
Yeah.
Like in season 1, they get brought before the Vampiric Council, and the council's made up of. I wrote it down. It's like the guys from the movie, right? Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement and stuff. But then you also have Tilda Swinton, Evan Rachel Wood from True Blood, uh, Danny Trejo,
Danny Trejo, Blade,
Paul Rubens,
Paul
who
Rubens
who was a
from Buffy the
vampire in
movie.
Buffy. Yeah, the
Yes,
movie with Christy
yes,
Swanson.
yes.
Um, Wesley Snipes, and also that one dude who was in Blade. He
Who
played a
had his arm
vampire.
chopped off.
Donald
Don't
something. You know what I'm talking
looking
about?
it up. Yep, yep, yep.
Uh,
Donald
He
Logue.
Yeah, he's
Logue.
in later seasons of it,
Yes.
and he basically is like, well, I played a vampire, so I thought it would be fun to become one or something like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
But there's so many great vampire jokes in it, and including the energy vampire. And when I first
Yes.
saw Colin the energy vampire, I was like, I knew exactly what was going on. I was like,
Yep.
wow,
They're
that's
great.
brilliant.
I know. They even
That's
brought Eric
brilliant.
in the last season.
Did
Eric
they? I don't
from True
remember. Yeah,
Blood. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then the whole like Van Helsing undercurrent with Guillermo, and
Guillermo.
he becomes a vampire, and then he wants to turn back, and how does that
Yes.
work? And I
Yes.
mean, there's just it was it was good.
Well, and the actor who plays Nandor speaks
Yeah,
Farsi, and my kid's father speaks Farsi. So we were able to recognize that his Canadarian, his
yeah.
fake, is it's just silly Farsi. So we thought
Oh, it
that was
makes sense.
pretty
Yeah.
fun. We thought that was fun. Okay. My
Great.
number
Yeah.
3 is another bundle, and it is the movie and show What We Do in the Shadows. We have the same number 3.
Wow.
Same thing. I
Crazy.
thought this really speaks to how creative you can be within the vampire genre and how you can cross over to audiences that normally wouldn't watch vampire stuff. You could tell that they are truly vampire fans because, like you said, all the rules are there, all the jokes are there. So in the
Yeah.
movie, we get Peter, who's either supposed to be Orlok or Barlow
Right.
from Salem's Lot.
Right. Yeah, he's the
Um,
old
yes,
Nosferatu.
down in the
hmm
basement, we get the noodles joke from Lost Boys. We get
Yeah,
these
totally. Yep.
amazing jokes. The
Yeah.
trying to be let into the club, but no one will invite them in, so they have to keep moving
Right.
to each different clubs. The whole
Yeah.
idea of like, well, I have to show they were drawing each other in their outfits because they don't
Yeah.
cast a reflection, so they need to know what they look like. The jokes are so good.
Yeah.
And the movie and the TV show, I think enough jokes are caught by people who just know vampires in general, but then there's extra jokes for
Oh
those of
yeah.
us who are really in the world. They
Oh
even
yeah. Like yeah.
the whole thing
Sorry.
with dropping the rice and having to count the rice.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
mean,
That one I thought was, hey, how about that? They got that in there.
the
Like,
jokes are so
yeah.
solid, are so solid. It's so funny. And it also looks at, I'm always intrigued as a writer of like, what was the spark that started this whole thing, right? And
Yeah.
to watch the show, you wonder, like, what was the spark? But the idea of what would vampires, classic vampires in our world right now, have to deal with? And this show answers that question, which is so much fun. Just the
Yeah.
superb owl party, how they misconstrued Super Bowl and superb owl, genius. Absolute genius. So yes, you and I both have the same
Yeah.
number 3.
How about that? Yeah. Great. Yeah, there's a scene in the movie. Well, so Jermaine Clements guy, Vladislav the Poker,
The
is
poker.
so funny. At one point, I know, like, he's like, I was turned when I was 16, and they're like, 16. He goes, well, we aged quicker back then.
Yeah.
But he's trying to get this guy to come out, so or let him in his house to feed on him, and he's like, see me, which is exactly right out of Bram Stoker's
Bram Stoker's
Dracula.
Dracula. But
Yeah.
also remember when he goes to wake him up in the beginning, he's like on
And
the
he's got the
wall with
girls.
red
Yeah.
silk and that
And
is
all the
Bram
women.
Stoker's
Yeah,
Dracula.
totally,
Yes.
100%. Yeah, there's so many like little jokes in there.
But then the next joke is like they have that wheel about who has to do which chores that week. And he's like, let's talk about my couch. And they're like, the red couch. He's like, well, it's red now because you won't
Right.
clean up. Like the jokes
Put
are
some newspaper down.
so good, so good. And when he finds his girlfriend who's now like 90,
Right.
so good.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
okay. My number 2 is Blade. Is it
Okay.
a vampire film? I don't know. I think it is. Yes. Um, Wesley Snipes is just awesome. He loved that character. He embodied that character.
Yeah.
Um, uh, it's just awesome. And
Yes.
for years, I tried to figure out how I could get it into my class, and I finally pulled it off. And it's great. I love
Good.
to talk about that film. There's that whole mythology that there's these vampires who are like biologically vampires somehow, and then there's other vampires who are turned, and the old vampires have the secret language, but nobody actually knows it anymore. But it's the new vampires who are trying to figure it out, and it's like, yeah, I've seen that before. And like it's just like all of that stuff is really wrapped up pretty well. They do the very at the very beginning. There's the rave that the blood shoots out. And that's just like, oh
So
wow,
good.
totally awesome. And then Wesley Snipes just shows up and just kills people,
So
and I'm
good.
like, awesome, yeah.
So good.
So
Yeah.
Blade,
Solid choice. Blade didn't make my top 10, but it was in my
it's all right.
periphery. And the one thing I do like about Blade that also happens in Underworld is the harnessing sunlight for weapons. I
Mm.
think that idea is so clever, like UV bullets, UV swords, UV whatever. I was like, I love the idea of that. And it has a very young Norman Reedus in the second one before anybody
Oh, I
really
haven't
knew who
seen
he
the
was.
I haven't seen the second one, and so I remember not
Yeah.
liking the second one, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah,
So
that's more of the virus. That goes to the
yeah,
virus.
and Dracula's in it, I think too.
That's the third one, and
Oh,
that
that's
might
the
be
third one.
one of my
Well,
pet
Ryan
peeves.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Yeah,
One of my pet peeves, and if you've watched the podcast, is I hate when they just yank Dracula in because they can't think of anything else.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Dracula as the ultimate vampire is boring.
Or the vampires like Dracula's my father or Dracula's my whatever, whatever. That's why I was so
Yeah.
upset about the last 5 minutes of Abigail, is they could have stopped before the dad shows up. You didn't even need it. So what happened was you have an hour and a half of really showing us Abigail, and then by having him show up, it took all of her power away, all of her everything. I was like, yeah, you
Right.
didn't need that. She was formidable without the tie. So yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't say it to their credit, but he said the dragons are all over the house, the stag, all that stuff is there. And he says, I go by many names. And you're like, oh, boo.
Alucard.
Oh, boo. Yeah. All right.
All right,
My
number
number
two.
two is Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
All right.
Critics are saying dazzling, romantic, alluring, classic, unforgettable, lavish, astonishing. I am Dracula. Words can persuade you, but nothing can prepare you. Bram Stoker's Dracula, a Francis Ford Coppola film. Rated R. At theaters now.
I think this is another one of those ones that culturally is very important, especially for the generation. And like I said, when I was rereading the novel, I realized how much is not canon to the novel and how much was just imprinted on me from different versions, Bram Stoker's Dracula being one of the big ones. But Frank Langella in 79 imprinted a lot in my brain that's not from the novel. So I think Gary Oldman's version of Dracula is by far the best one. He's one of the few actors that actually gave him a Romanian accent.
Yeah, made him old too.
Made him old, made him age
Yeah.
backwards, made him able to be in the sunlight, had him in the
Yep.
boxes of dirt, had the Romany servants, like all that
Yep.
stuff was there. We got the brides, we got all that stuff. Did Keanu Reeves do the best acting? Did Winona Ryder do the best acting? No. But that movie, again, if you're going to sit with us at lunch, you have to be able to discuss that movie. And I think that to this day, it is still one of my favorites to put on and just have in the background. I would choose this over the novel any day, which may be sacrilege, but that's just where I'm at. We had the rat stuff and the wolf stuff, and we had the drawing Lucy out. And I absolutely will tell anybody to watch that movie.
Great. I think that's a good choice. I've kind of gotten to a place with Bram Stoker's Dracula where I think I was showing it I was showing it in class for a while, and it got to the point where I was like, I think the kids are uncomfortable watching this because it's a little bit everything's sex. The whole thing is sex, 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 sex,
Yes.
and it's almost like in a creepy way. It's
Hmm.
like Francis Ford Coppola got real creepy with the sex aspect of it. Um, whatever you want to do with that. I also don't like the reincarnated wife trope. That one's stupid, but at least but most of the history is correct though. That his
Yes.
wife did commit suicide and things
And we
like
did
that.
get the tie between Vlad and him, which we haven't
Yeah,
been able to see before.
right.
And people don't often explore the how did Dracula get turned into a vampire thing. And so they kind of played with that a little bit. I'm on the opposite side of you. One of the things I love about vampires is the idea of reincarnated love, that you get another chance. So I do love the idea of that. I could see where people would be uncomfortable. This movie was 1992, and it was definitely a very different time for media,
Yeah.
for sure. For
Well,
sure.
think about Innocent Blood, right? I
Oh,
can't even show that because
Pittsburgh.
the first scene is
Yeah.
just boobs. I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I could show it they're adults, but people get uncomfortable with nudity. So, you know,
So, well, that was my subspecies series, which took up 6 weeks of my podcast. But I actually ended up, as a scholar, as an academic, putting together how quickly in each one of those 8 movies we see boobs for no reason.
uh-huh.
Like sometimes it is right out of the gate. There is no
Yeah.
purpose for any one of those scenes, but it was really a sign of the times.
Yeah, right, totally.
Hmm.
Totally.
Hmm.
Uh man, I wish Innocent Blood was on my list.
That's a good
It's
one.
not, but
That's a
it
good
is
one.
totally it I love it and I hate it at the same time.
I
The
know.
idea that this vampire accidentally turns a whole bunch like a whole mob into
Gangsters.
vampires.
I know it's
Like
so good. It's
uh
so good. It's so good. Well, there's a few movies that I recognize are not great, but I love them, like
yeah.
Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler or Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman. They are not good movies, but I absolutely love them. It just
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah,
Where are we? Number 1?
I'm
Well,
excited.
it's going to be a letdown I think
So,
because it's not Twilight. I thought maybe Twilight the movie, it does have Anna Kendrick in her like first role. But so um I no, What We Do in the Shadows, the film. I gave it its own because
good for you.
it deserves it all. Vladislav the Poker himself, um, and his love of poking people.
Bulking. Bulking. Ah,
Yeah, as
yes,
we've already discussed. So I think that's to me.
yes.
But I'm wearing a Weird Al Yankovic shirt right now, so that kind of tells you what I think about a lot of things. Like satire, parody, and
Oh,
like understanding the joke and then
yes.
playing with it to me is really a lot of fun. So
I mean, I'm a big fan of the vampire werewolf rivalry.
We're just about to walk past a werewolf, so some shit might go down.
Look out, guys. Don't catch fleas. What's that, mate?
Historically, vampires and werewolves have always been rivals.
They show up with their mates, pissing all over the plants,
Awful kind of wet fur smell.
going,
I'm not racist, I just don't like werewolves.
No one likes werewolves. Lots of the animals in the animal kingdom don't like werewolves. Wolves don't like werewolves.
what the f*** you do that for? Hey, that was... Don't squeal. What are we? Werewolves not...
Wolf rivalry. And they play around with that so well in the movie with the we're werewolves, not swearwolves, and the
yeah,
throwing
right,
the
right.
sticky toy and this
That's
the
right.
whole thing.
Werewolf, not
And the
werewolves.
whole thing is shot like almost like uh uh West Side Story. The way they come up on it, the gangs come up
Oh
on each
yeah,
other
right,
and they're
right.
sort of like moving around and the jokes. I think I smell wet dog and all the yes, that was absolutely such a good choice. And I definitely cheated by bundling some things, but
Yeah,
I felt compelled to present it as a universe as opposed to separate things. But I completely agree with you. I think if there was one thing that you have to make somebody sit down and watch, that is an excellent choice. So good.
yeah, it is. Although it's one of those things where like I kind of want them to watch all the other vampire movies first, because then
They
they'll
can get the
really
jokes.
enjoy
I
it.
know.
Yeah. Hey, this is slightly related before you do your number one
Oh.
about the feud with the werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through some some old documents about the Vukodlak, the Serbian vampire. Vukodlak also means werewolf, though. It means both in Serbian. So
Yes.
but it turns out the reason for this is that the belief was that there was people in every family that were werewolves that would protect the family against vampires. This goes back to like the 1700s or earlier, in Serbia, and so the names are very similar for werewolf and vampire because one of them is doing the devil's work and the other one is doing God's work, and one of them is trying to destroy the village and the crops, and the other one's trying to protect the village and the crops. And so the werewolf could become a vampire if certain things happen, usually involving sin or whatever.
We've talked about this, the
Yeah.
silly things, like if you're the 15th son born on the 12th moon, it's something ridiculous like that.
Right.
I
Illegitimate
love
son
that.
of two illegitimate people. But yeah.
Yes, that's cool. I talk about in my lecture when I do my tour is the very frequent crossover between vampire and witch, how often that crosses over, and how often the phrase how often it is described as a vampiric witch. But when you boil it down, it's all about temptation. And what creature am I going to blame for the mistake I did yesterday or this morning or whatever, right?
And most of the things you can do to thwart a vampire, you also do to thwart a sorcerer or a magician. Counting, staking, things like that. So
Yeah. This is why I love talking to you, because my level of vampire nerd is very high, and so to find someone as high up on that realm is so exciting for me.
You might be higher than me. I don't know.
Oh, that is an honor. My goodness. All right, my number one, I bundled again, and you might be surprised, is Interview with the Vampire, the book and the TV show.
All right.
Not the movie.
Okay.
Welcome to the Théâtre des Vampires.
Perhaps this would be a time to take a break, Louis.
It's different here. I love it. I never want to leave.
The Coven has grand designs for her.
Who's that handsome man on the wall?
The finest actor ever to walk our stage, Lestat de Lyoncourt.
We both now exist in two different worlds.
The Coven Master has the power of life and death.
Will you abide by the laws?
I will.
You've remembered, Claudia. I'm remembering it now.
And here is my why. I thought about this my whole 4-hour drive home, by the way. Like, I really thought this all out. So, to me, the Vampire Chronicles is such a rich world. And as somebody who has created their own world, I know that that is not easy. And it is such a very robust world. And so to go back and read something like Dracula, you realize there's not a lot of world building. It's actually sort of kind of like a lazy, dry writing, right?
Yeah, it's very empty.
Yes. And this is so robust and so expansive. And even if you just read, let's say the first 3 or 4 novels, right, of the Vampire Chronicles, you have a solid idea of this world, of their rules. And I love the idea of it so well creates how the vampires are of our world, but not in our world. They really are truly separate from us. They're different creatures. They have their own different everything. And to what you were saying is, it's that idea of like they look so similar to us, but if you know what to look for, you can catch it. You know, the way that they almost look like living statues, and the way that they move and how they can move. And so if you know what to look for, and then the idea that there's a whole secret society whose job it is just to chronicle all of these vampires and kind of keep an eye on them. I love that part. And in the book, like you said, they're asexual. So what I like about that is now you have to find a way, because like you said, in this world, they don't defecate, they don't urinate, they don't have sex, because biologically they procreate through the embrace, through turning
blood, right?
Right. And so if you take all of that away, Now you have to create relationships and bonds without sex, without
Right.
physical love. So what does that look like? And I love the idea too that the whole thing was created out of trying to deal with grief, is losing a child. What does
Yeah.
death mean? What would it look like to live eternally and not die? And the idea of a same-sex couple. And then I say all the time, one of the things that I hear in this now with the new show coming out is people go, I don't like it, it's too gay. And I'm like, well, if you go back and read the books, Louis and Lestat were always a toxic relationship. And then they
Yeah.
brought a child into the relationship to try and fix it. And if that's not marriage, I don't know what like what you're talking about. But you
Yeah.
see the idea of how do you cope with toxic relationships? How do you cope with grief? How do you cope with loss? How do you cope with disease? How do you cope with, and in this world, they are wealthy. They don't have to worry about disease. And so, does that make all your problems go away? Guess what? It doesn't. So now we have to
No.
really, really explore what causes grief, what causes loss, what causes trauma. On the flip side, with the new show, I think it was Stephen King that said, once I put a book out into the world, it is no longer mine. Right.
Yeah.
And so you get to take something that profound and then put your own spin on it. You get to recreate it and reimagine it and redo it. And that's what they did with the AMC show. And so when you watch the show, one of the things they do so well is it is so culturally rich and it's like so colorful, and I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed the setting of it, but I also enjoyed the fact that now bringing in the sexual aspect, now you really get to see the idea of toxic relationships. you know um what does it look like when you emotionally abuse each other? What does that do to you in the long term?
Yeah.
And I love the idea of that as well. So I think that Interview with the Vampire, if you read the book and then you watch the show, it is the best way to show what can you do with this world, what themes can you explore, and also what does it look like when you put a book out and then somebody reimagines it, which is what's so great about
Although
vampires.
Anne Rice has a hand in the series, though.
I
I mean, so
know.
she's not. So she's also putting her herself into it. What one thing that's interesting about the series is that it basically starts off with Louis saying everything I told you last time when you were the
Yes.
young boy wasn't exactly the truth. Now I'm going to tell you the truth, right? And I think that's an interesting way of revisiting the source material and
Mm-hmm.
making changes to it,
Mm-hmm.
but keeping it within canon, right?
Yes.
So, I just wasn't telling you the whole truth, or um, Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, well,
Yes.
sometimes whatever he says, I forget his line right
Yes.
now, but
Yeah.
um,
Well, and I like too that they have Daniel facing, is it Parkinson's? Or no, it's something
is
along the
it? It's
lines,
something
right?
like that. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
either a cancer or a neuromuscular disorder. I'm sorry. I know he's getting infusions. But so now he's actually faced with his own mortality. So he meets the vampire when he's just a kid. And when we're 20, we're not thinking about death. We think we're going to live
right.
forever, right? And now he's older and he's sick. And that really changes how you are going to look at all of this.
Yeah,
So that idea too. And the fact, it's rare that you can take something that's considered horror and make people cry. I mean, I cried in the last season. I felt a whole roller coaster of emotions. And so to be able to take a horror trope and
hmm
have you explore all of those things, like what does it mean to live, and time is so fleeting, very powerful stuff. So that's my number
yeah,
one. Yeah.
awesome, great,
Awesome.
great. I
Okay,
I
so
love that too. I love the Vampire Chronicles
yes.
too.
All right, so I'm excited. What are your honorable mentions? What are things that you wish you could have put in there and you just didn't have space for?
Well, one is called VYI.
Oh,
In
okay.
Russian. In Russian, it's VII, but um, it's this story written by a Russian writer named Nikolai Gogol. It was in like 1800s, and it's about a seminary student who's walking home for like Easter break and gets basically attacked by a witch, and then uh, gets summoned by the local like landlord to come because his daughter died, and she requested that this guy watch over her body, pray over her body at night so that nobody disturbs the body. Because it was like, they lay the body out in the family church and,
Yes.
they pray the Psalms or something overnight during the night. And so it turns out that the girl who died is the witch that like attacked him. She attacked him sexually. And so he's trying to maintain his faith. He's a seminary student. So he's trying to pray, but she's constantly trying to get him. And there's like a protection circle he's in. And every night it gets more and more and more intense. And he makes it the first night, and he makes it the second night. But the third night, he makes it to just about the end when they call in the heavy hitter, which is this demon named V. And V shows up, and the kid like breaks. The vampire gets him, and he loses. But he only had to hang on for like 5 more minutes. And if he would have just like kept reading his prayers instead of looking around, he would have made it. But the
Yes.
whole story, it's not that long, but it's kind of a fun
That's fun.
way of dealing with it. She's a vampire is the
Yeah.
deal. And he could have like, I guess if he would have made it, she would have died. But if she could kill him, then she gets to go on, and she wins. And my other, let's say I got maybe 2 or 3 more.
Okay.
Innocent Blood, yeah. 30 Days a Night. I don't like the movie all that much, but I love the concept. Like,
That's
I
on
think
my
it's a great
honorable
concept.
mention.
Yeah.
Yes.
Family of the Verdeluck, which I believe you did the Verdeluck movie,
With
which
the
is based
puppet?
on, with the puppet, which is based on this story
Yes.
by Alexei Konstantinovich Tolstoy, Family of the
Yeah.
Verdeluck. And that's a good one where they're playing with that Verdeluck Serbian vampire
Yes.
creepy idea.
And I'm so glad I went into that movie not knowing about the puppet.
Yeah.
Because when it came on screen, I was like,
Yeah, it seems a little weird, but I totally understand what's going on there. I've never seen it, but I heard your review of it, and I thought, I know the story. I know the story. I know I've seen this story
well, I
before.
knew the story because of you. And so when I was watching it, I knew what they were doing. But who could have seen Jim Henson entering the picture?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. And the last thing I will bring up is there's a short film I found on YouTube called Suicide by Sunlight. And it's about a dog. She's a nurse, not a doctor. She's a nurse who's a vampire. But and the whole thing is actually a play on Blackula, because at the end of Blackula, his love is dead, so he just walks into the sunlight and burns himself to death. And so in this short film, it starts off with a reporter talking about how white vampires can't go in the sun. It's like suicide by sunlight. But black vampires can because their skin is
Their
adapted.
melanin is so thick. Yeah.
And that story is a really cool little short film too. So I think people should go check that out. Suicide by Sunlight. I think the
I
director's
actually
name
watched
is
it after I
Juicy.
talked to you the first time.
Yeah, yeah. So
very good.
I liked it.
Yeah. It made me think of Ganja and Hess, which most people don't know about.
Oh, Ganja and Hess. Yeah, yeah.
Ganja and Hess. Okay. So my honorable mentions. I think if you have the time, watch the original Nosferatu and watch the 94 Interview with a Vampire. Because again, culturally, definitely powerhouses in the genre. But I have 30 Days of Night.
All right.
Not a great film. Comic book is solid, but it's the idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea, right? Makes so much sense.
30 days you have to survive. And those vampires are extremely animalistic. And they are 100% capital V the villains. They are not going to fall in love with you. They are not going to listen. Like, you're done. If they get you, you're done. And the sun is not going to come up and save you.
No.
My 3 were Fright Night.
All right.
Again, one of those cultural conversations that I feel like you kind of have to have. You have.
And who doesn't like Colin Farrell, right?
Oh, not the remake.
I know.
That was good. That was quick. You're quick.
I know.
I met him, by the way. I met him like 15 years ago, and then just again, he looks fabulous. So he might actually be a vampire. Fright Night. Let the Right One In, the 2008 Swedish film.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. And Near Dark.
Near Dark.
Near
Excellent
Dark.
choice.
So Near
Yeah.
Dark is up there with the sort of Western vampire feel that you had with John Carpenter's vampires and From Dusk Till Dawn. But Near Dark is one that, for whatever reason, kind of slides under the radar.
It's hard to find. It was
I have
streaming
it.
on Netflix or something,
Yeah.
and now it's not anymore. I'm like, ah, it's too bad.
I
Yeah,
have
it's
it on
also
DVD. Yeah.
it's also, um, it's also very much within the same vein as Lost Boys, where you've got the
Yes.
families and you've got the relationship between families and what's a safe family versus a dangerous family or whatever.
Yes.
Got all that going
And
on
you
too.
have the child vampire, which as a parent for me is such an uncomfortable idea. But the idea of like somebody 50 in the body of a 10-year-old is so, and that scene with the child vampire and Near Dark at the motel is so uncomfortable to watch. But it is that idea of like, I think that vampires are such a good way to talk about not just like we talked about political ideas, temptation. So often they embody the idea of temptation and drawing you away from what's good. But just talking about the uncomfortable things that we all have to deal with every day, the toxic ideas, the toxic things are out there. It's a way of talking about it without really shoving it in your face. And that child vampire is so, and it's hard to believe that that's the silly brother from Teen Witch, because he's like so silly in Teen
Yeah.
Witch.
I
And then
don't know
in
too much,
that,
but
he is, it's so uncomfortable to watch. And that's really that's a kudos to the actor because, oh, and Lance Henriksen. I love Lance Henriksen.
Yeah.
Bill
Yeah, sure.
Paxton. That's the whole finger licking good when he kills the entire bar. Good movie. Yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Awesome. Great honorable mention.
This is so much fun. I was a little bit worried that you were going to be like so academic and it was going to make me feel
What could I be like? Say, oh well, Lord Byron's fragment of a novel from 1816, which was never published, is really no. What am I going to do?
But I will tell you, and again, this was my idea. I threw it out there, but then to sit down and actually come up with like a top 10, it was a lot of pressure. But
I know,
so happy that we had so many crossovers.
That some of them are uncanny, but you know, it must be true.
So speaking of Renfield, I was at a con. I was at MegaCon in Orlando, and Nicholas Hoult was there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to go tell him how much I loved that movie. I cannot wait to talk to him about this movie. For those people that don't know, MegaCon is in Orlando. It's 4 days, which is massive for a con. And I think they get something like 300,000 people. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were so busy I did not walk away from my table, which is a good problem to have. But come Sunday morning, I turned to my son. I said, go see how long his line is. Get into line. And when you're maybe like 4 people away, call me and I'll come running over. And he comes back and said he was only here Friday and Saturday. So Nicholas Hoult was in the same room as me. And I didn't get to go meet him. And I will forever regret that.
It may happen again.
It may happen again. And again, he was in Nosferatu, the 2024 Nosferatu.
Was he? You know, I haven't seen that. I started to watch it, and I wasn't able to finish it.
Really?
I know, and I just don't have time to go to the movies anymore. Not right now.
So
I'm a little bit
here's what
behind.
I'll tell you about Nosferatu. My review on the channel is not that great because I saw it the day it opened, which was Christmas Day. And when you're in the theater watching, it's very hard to catch everything. So it was like Sinners. It was very cursory. I didn't really get to delve into it. Nosferatu is like reading a classic novel or staring at a famous painting. It is very gothic. It's very slow, but it's like a fine wine. Okay. Whereas like Renfield is it's a vodka soda. It's a lot of fun. It's bright. It's fun. So there's nothing wrong with the new Nosferatu, but it is gothic in like the most classical sense. So you have to be,
I got that from it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be in the right space. but it's beautiful to watch. And Bill Skarsgård and Nicholas Hoult were phenomenal. And William Dafoe plays the Van Helsing character.
Van Helsing, yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you have to be in the right mood because it is definitely classic, dark, slow, gothic.
Yeah, I figured that. And so it's on my list, but
I know.
It's just slow. I'm getting to it slow. I did see Sinners a few weeks ago, and
What'd you think?
I loved it. I was kind of sad that we had those Native Americans who are the vampire hunters at the very beginning, and that's it. And I was like, I want them to come back. I want to see what they're up to.
I want a whole movie.
Yeah, about those guys.
Yes.
Yeah, but
a whole movie.
And as that film progressed, like, so the vampire gets that couple, and then they show up playing music together, and I'm like, this couple doesn't seem like people who would be playing music. And then it dawns as the movie goes on, oh, they're not.
The hive mind.
Yeah, and I get it. The idea of music as transformative, and yeah. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun movie. I like Ryan Coogler stuff in general, so.
Yep. So I did not know that Sinners was a vampire film. From the original trailer, I thought it was going to be like an Evil Dead situation, like demons called forth from hell, like the Necronomicon or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was actually on vacation and my phone was blowing up on social media. When are you covering Sinners? I didn't know it was a vampire film. So I went on a Sunday at like 10 in the morning. And I was completely unprepared for what I was watching. This is another one of those things where you get to talk about important themes in a more tangible way. The music I thought was very rich. The setting, I love, I want to move to New Orleans. So the idea of like that hoodoo, Louisiana, Mississippi sort of area, that Southern Gothic feel, but also and I loved that they took the time to give us enough to actually care about these people, as opposed to like Dusk Till Dawn. By the time the vampires hit, I'm like, I really don't know you guys at all. But by the time the vampires hit, we at least know enough to care about these characters. And again, culturally very rich. And it really tapped into the idea of like crossing into our world, but not being of our world. And that's what I like about those movies. And stuck to the rules. Got to be invited in, die by sunlight. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, no, it did a really good job with all that stuff. One thing I think was neat about the portrayal of vampires is that it wasn't just about like feeding on blood. It was like creating a group, and everyone, I mean, maybe because they're all mind controlled, but everyone was like, join our family, be with us, we'll be together, it's great and fun and wonderful. But then as you like to point out, I've listened to enough of your things to know, you run into daybreakers, because eventually that's what happens. If everybody's a vampire,
now what?
Yeah, I like daybreakers. That might be an honorable mention too.
Daybreakers was a fabulous one because I love the idea that they made the world vampire friendly, because now they're the majority and they are the ones in power. But remember the scene where they go to the coffee stand and it's like 1% blood or something like that because they're so low on supplies. So I did like that idea. And that was another Willem Dafoe. I'm telling you, he loves a vampire.
I don't remember him being
guy.
in that. No.
He's the one that was first turned back into human. Yeah, he's the one that starts that whole thing going. But yeah, and I loved the idea too that Remick thought he was freeing them by turning them, because who gets up in the morning and says I'm the villain? Nobody. Everyone thinks they're doing the right thing. Everyone thinks they're doing what's best. They don't know they're the villain. That's the whole point. So
except for in Sinners, like all like Michael B. Jordan's character, they're basically like, we're the bad guy.
I know.
Right? But it turns out that they're not, it's like reversed,
Yes.
Which, anyway, it's good.
Very
good
well
work.
done. Yeah, very well done. Yeah, you'll have to let me know when you watch Nosferatu. I'm gonna warn you, it's kind of like reading Dracula.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dry, but beautiful to watch. And I wish we had seen more of the Nosferatu character because Bill Skarsgård.
I've heard. I've not seen anything on purpose because I've heard it's a good reveal. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Well, Mark, this was so much fun. I want you to be on my podcast as much as possible. I love having these conversations with you. I am so happy you came back for spooky season again because we always have such a good conversation. So I hope we get to do more of this in the future. I know that you have to go teach a class, so I don't want to keep you too long. Yeah, I don't want to keep you too long.
Thanks.
But
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
And big finish. Thank